Hello everybody, this is Eero here. I have my voice is a bit down because I had a flu. I was visiting my parents in Finland. It's kind of like freezing weather there, and now I'm back to Croatia where it's just super hot. I don't know what's going on, my body is just a bit out of balance, I guess, but that's okay. Like today, the subject I want to talk about, like things I've made these videos about slow tempo training. I've made videos about like mind muscle connection. I've been talking about different type of stabilization. I've been talking about the isolation, how to control different things, mobility, and like this is something where I put those all together, and I have these two basic exercises, push up and dip, and just those are like examples. And any exercise I could talk about, but I will keep these basic exercises and how you can apply these different methods to these exercises to make them really, really effective for yourself. And we tend to think about exercises as something where there's the start, the beginning and the end. So I do a pull up or a push up, there's this and then there's this. And the idea is I just want to get as many as possible or keep adding weight, and all thing you care about is you go to the start and you go to the end. But I want to change our approach on this completely. Like I want to change our approach to one that is not about the point A or B, but it's all about what's happening in the middle. Like on every single point of every single repetition that you do. Like if I do push-ups or dips or anything, I try to make it so that in the very first repetition I already feel everything. Like the first repetition is tough for me, and after that every single repetition is tough as well. So this is incredibly important, especially for like beginner guys or girls who are starting to do training, because I think there are people, of course, who have great body, great physique, and they do basically very athletic training, fast and power moves, and they are in a great shape. And these beginners, they look the example and they're like, I'm gonna do that, but there are steps that you need to take to get on that level, and you need to build yourself up from the level where you are at, not from some higher level, because you're not there. I really would recommend you to change your approach completely. Like don't think about the weights, don't think about the repetition. That is thing. If you are competing in certain competition, you do athletic training, you're a crossfitter, then how you measure the success is how much you get those repetitions under a certain time, and that's a very different approach. And then you need to do a bit different type of repetitions. If you're not competing with anybody, perhaps, then your priority is not the repetition of weight, but doing things in a proper way that will build you up, will build your musculature in a safe way, build you a balanced body. The approach is everything. Like that's the thing. I can do the same exercise, and I can have a completely different result depending on how I approach that exercise. I remember when I first started to do this mobility work on my body, I did these exercises, and I got some results. I did them for about a year, but I didn't make that good results anyway. Then I keep a pause, and during this time I was overthinking like, these exercises, maybe they don't work that well. But then I go back to this exercise, the same exercise that I had done, I did, but my approach was different. This time I was more focused on the mind-muscle connection, I was focused on stability, isolation, and all this, and then I start to make like that much better results, and same exercises, different approach. So now we're gonna go and see the push-up and the dip, and we're gonna just use those as like concrete examples. We're gonna apply these things that I just talked about, so let's go. We'll start with the push-up. Now the first thing that you wanna do is stabilize your core. I keep my back flat, and this will activate those core muscles. So now it doesn't arch, it doesn't round, it doesn't move at all. And at the same time, I keep my scapula stable as well. So there is probably a little movement, but they're still very, very stable, and they don't create any momentum. So this now creates that support from where I can do a solid push-up, where my shoulders and my elbows move. I also, in here I keep a quite narrow hand placement, and I really squeeze that tricep. You can see I don't snap it in the end, I squeeze it, and this will very effectively target the tricep muscles. Here you can see I have quite a stable core, but my scapulas move quite a lot, and I don't control that elbow at all, they just snap there. Now this will create some results, but not nearly as good as if you would keep yourself stable and really focus on squeezing and using the muscles. Here we do a wide grip push-up. So the thing that matters really is, once again, the core scapulas are stable, and after that I can choose any hand placement to just emphasize different muscles that I want to target maybe. So for example, this wider grip uses more the chest. So here's the wrong version, where kind of my scapulas are pressing a lot, elbows are not controlled. So the core has to be in place, your scapulas needs to be in place, and your the movement of the arms from the shoulders and from the elbow must be in check as well. Now we go to the dips. So here, it kind of same principles. Now my core, it doesn't move. I kind of keep the legs very back to keep a certain angle so I can very well hit the triceps. And you see, especially in the end, I need to use a lot of focus to make that with control, to squeeze the triceps. And I also keep my scapulas in the back, they don't float without control. Here you can see a version where I use a lot of speed. I also kind of raise my chest a bit, moving the core and the legs to get myself up there with a good speed and momentum, no control in the end. And it doesn't have to be that obvious. Like here you can see, I do slow repetitions, but for example there, I snapped it, and that was pretty good. That wasn't so good. Let's see. That was pretty good. That was not control. So it's very subtle sometimes. It doesn't have to be so obvious. And you really need to pay a lot of attention when you're doing this exercise and kind of set the standards high. So this type of repetitions should feel so much harder, and you're probably going to do much less repetitions. And like I said, you should not focus on the amount of repetitions. You should focus on the quality and just do the amount of repetitions that you can do properly. But that's it kind of for this time. These were the two exercises, push-up, dip, and I just wanted to talk about the basic things here: core, scapular stability, and after that doing a very clean pressing motion. So control the shoulder and you control the extension of the elbow. Remember, you can apply these same principles to any pulling exercise as well. Pull-ups, inverted rows, barbell rows, the same things apply. I'll probably make videos that go into more detail about these different scapular positions and all that, but that's later then. And this was the video. I hope you find this useful and helpful for yourself, and I'll see you soon. Take care.